gather EU fragmented synapses and prepare ourselves for an analytical tempest, a tornado of intellectual overindulgence fit to pause the verbal dueling and ideological mud wrestling that has ensued between Destiny and Hasanabi over the alleged corruption of XQC's intellectual independence.
Comparing him to the Joker and Lee Harvey Oswald? Yeah, I think it's because XQC just watches Destiny. That's it. And only gets his opinions from Destiny and doesn't like...
He's so mad that like every single person doesn't like immediately off his dog political takes always. It's so fringe.
Doesn't come up with any of his own personal opinions. That's got to be it. No, it's not because he's rich as
like I'm the progenitor of every single political opinion online that doesn't 100% agree with Hassan. Okay.
Chat, get out of here. If I were to talk to XQC 2, 3, 4 years ago about like how Americans don't have...
Oh, he's still mad about the tier list. Probably true.
Socialized medicine. Just chat, get out of here. If I were to talk to XQC 2, 3, 4 years ago about like how Americans don't have socialized medicine, as a Canadian man, he would have been like, yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense. But I think like...
Do you think I'm against socialized medicine? I've never ever... Since 2016, have I even been against universal health coverage or like single payer or even public option? I feel like I've always been at least public option. But okay. Even without politics, it's so sad that a son can't be friends with someone who disagrees with him. I feel like the sad thing is that he can't like, like if somebody has any disagreement whatsoever, they're like completely branded the enemy. And then he like slanders and defames and like goes hardcore, like mass harassment, mass online, like brigading, like mass hate against a person. It's so cringe. Watching it happen to Ethan was a bit of a sanity check for me. But then also like, yeah, it's just pretty pathetic that somebody could be this much of like a harassing bully and get like a free pass for it.
That's most likely the reason. That's the only, because aside from right-wing content creators like Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, and all these other people, like the only person I've seen online that is like routinely trying to defend Brian Thompson's honor is Destiny. So if you're like a Destiny orbiter, if you're
like defend his honor, like bro, you're projecting. I don't know anything about this dude. He was probably an ass, my guess. He just has an alien, Brian Thompson. Sounds like I don't know anything about this dude.
Watching him regularly to, come across as like an intelligent person by repeating some of his takes, you're gonna oftentimes find yourself on the wrong side of most issues.
God, was it yesterday? Somebody, I think chat was watching the sun, and I think I tuned in for like 2 minutes, and it was when Luigi pled not guilty, which obviously you're gonna do. And he's like, yeah, he's like, go Luigi. Oh God, it was so cringe how much he's trying to like bride the Luigi wave of popularity thing to look good to his audience. Holy, it was so cringe.
If you consistently get your nose from this guy, you are most likely going to be on the wrong side of virtually every issue. But hey, if you can repeat his talking points fast enough, maybe you will think that you're coming across as brilliant, but most people will slowly but surely pull themselves away from you, not because they can't stand your brilliance, but because you're both...
Why do you think he pled not guilty? Because why would you plead guilty? What do you mean? What the f...
Your brilliance, but because you're both annoying and also wrong. That's it. And constantly want to debate about how right you are, even though you are very obviously wrong. You will never be able to debate someone out of the harm that they have personally experienced by for-profit healthcare, for example. It's just not going to happen because they saw the pain with their own two eyes. But good luck.
Okay. Meanwhile, he'll try to talk everybody out of any harm they've ever experienced under more socialist regimes, because that wasn't real. That was just propaganda from the West.
Yeah, you can't debate people into liking you. Like, I'll tell you that much. All right, you can't just be like, I'm gonna debate you into liking me. I'm gonna debate you into thinking my vibes are good.
What is he? He's so cringe. Okay.
If you...
Jesus.
Wherein lies a tale of shattered parasocial delusions, gladiatorial wordsmithery, and a spectacle that pits performative liberalism against the tempestuous indignation of Marxian critique. Destiny, the self-settled defender of rationalism and debate, now finds himself in the rhetorical crosshairs, accused by Hasanabi of being the great corruptor of XQC's political purity, a Svendola-like figure guiding him down the dark alleys of neoliberalism. At the heart of this metaphysical skirmish is the allegation that Destiny has ensnared XQC, Canada's streaming juggernaut, in an ideological web spun from half-baked neoliberal pragmatism and performative contrarianism. Hasanabi, standing atop his soapbox of systemic critique, casts Destiny not as a mere interlocutor but as a Joker-esque manipulator, gleefully dismantling XQC's intellectual autonomy with the precision of a Machiavellian puppeteer. Hasanabi's indictment is not just of Destiny's influence, but of the entire apparatus of liberalism that enables such ideological seduction. Destiny, no stranger to rhetorical pyrotechnics, launches his rebuttal with his characteristic blend of sardonic dismissal and pointed counter-argument. To him, Hasanabi's accusations reek of projection and intellectual insecurity, a tantrum masquerading as critique. The suggestion that XQC's opinions are wholesale regurgitations of Destiny's own is, in his view, not only absurd but a reflection of Hasanabi's inability to grapple with the diversity of thought that exists outside his own echo chamber. The notion that Destiny has reduced XQC to an ideological automaton is, in Destiny's framing, a caricature born of Hasanabi's frustration with anyone who dares to deviate from his orthodoxy. Destiny counters that Hasanabi's characterization of his influence as corruptive is emblematic of the broader inability of leftist purists to tolerate ideological pluralism. For Destiny, the accusation that his arguments lead others to the wrong side of issues is a thinly veiled lament that he refuses to uncritically embrace the dogmas of the far left. Destiny portrays Hasanabi's critique as a desperate attempt to villainize intellectual dissent, casting any deviation from Marxist principles as a betrayal rather than an exercise in independent thought. The ideological battleground upon which this conflict unfolds extends far beyond XQC's streaming habits. For Hasanabi, Destiny represents the insidious nature of liberalism, a force that cloaks itself in the guise of reason while perpetuating systemic inequalities. XQC's alleged descent into neoliberal rationalizations becomes, in Hasanabi's framing, a microcosm of the broader struggle between leftist critique and the hegemony of capitalist thought. Destiny's arguments, though ostensibly grounded in pragmatism, are portrayed as tools of the status quo, designed to decker radical critique and maintain the illusion of progress while preserving the structures of oppression. Destiny, for his part, rejects this characterization outright. He positions himself as a realist, unafraid to challenge both the utopianism of the far left and the moral absolutism of the far right. His rhetorical arsenal is deployed not to uphold the status quo but to navigate the complexities of a world that defies simplistic binaries. XQC, in Destiny's view, is not a victim of ideological corruption but an autonomous individual capable of engaging with diverse perspectives and arriving at his own conclusions. Yet, for all of Destiny's protestations, the optics of this conflict remain inescapable. To Hasanabi's audience, Destiny's influence on XQC is emblematic of the dangers of parasocial relationships, where charismatic personalities wield disproportionate sway over their followers' beliefs. The allegation that XQC has become little more than a mouthpiece for Destiny's talking points taps into broader anxieties about the erosion of critical thinking in the age of influencer culture. Destiny's insistence that XQC retains his independence is, to Hasanabi's supporters, a convenient deflection from the power dynamics and play in the relationship. Hasanabi's critique is also rooted in a broader frustration with the commodification of debate within digital spaces. Destiny's approach to discourse, characterized by rapid-fire exchanges and a fixation on winning arguments, is seen by Hasanabi as antithetical to the transformative potential of dialogue. For Hasanabi, the goal of discourse should not be to score rhetorical points but to build solidarity, foster understanding, and challenge the systemic structures that perpetuate inequality. Destiny's emphasis on individual rationality and intellectual competition, in this framing, reinforces the very individualism that Hasanabi seeks to dismantle. Destiny's rebuttal to these critiques highlights the contradictions within Hasanabi's own rhetoric. He accuses Hasanabi of engaging in the same performative antagonism that he decries in others, using his platform to rally his audience against perceived enemies while dismissing any dissent as illegitimate. Destiny argues that Hasanabi's inability to tolerate disagreement is reflective of a broader intolerance within certain segments of the left, where ideological purity is valued over genuine engagement. The suggestion that Destiny is a manipulative force corrupting XQC's mind is, in Destiny's view, a projection of Hasanabi's own insecurities and a refusal to acknowledge the agency of others. His clash between Destiny and Hasanabi also underscores the broader tensions within digital discourse, where the lines between debate, performance, and harassment are increasingly blurred. Hasanabi's framing of Destiny as a Joker-like figure manipulating XQC's opinions is, for Destiny, not just a mischaracterization but an example of the very toxic dynamics that Hasanabi claims to oppose. The irony, Destiny contends, is that Hasanabi's rhetoric often mirrors the very tactics he critiques, weaponizing outrage and mobilizing his audience to enforce conformity. The broader implications of this conflict extend beyond the personal dynamics between Destiny, Hasanabi, and XQC. This dispute serves as a microcosm of the ideological battles playing out within the digital left, where questions of strategy, tactics, and goals remain hotly contested. Destiny's pragmatism, with its emphasis on incremental change and debate as a tool for persuasion, clashes with Hasanabi's commitment to systemic critique and the transformative potential of collective action. XQC's role in this dilemma becomes a proxy for these larger debates, with his ideological trajectory serving as a battleground for competing visions of progress. Ultimately, this conflict raises important questions about the nature of influence, the ethics of parasocial relationships, and the responsibilities of content creators in shaping public discourse. Destiny and Hasanabi, despite their differences, are both emblematic of the power and pitfalls of digital platforms, where the lines between persuasion and manipulation, dialogue and performance, are often indistinguishable. The clash over XQC's ideological trajectory is not just a battle of egos but a reflection of the broader challenges facing discourse in the digital age.